So far, we have talked about how you actually get connected to the Basecamp site, and we've done a brief overview of the different sections of the Basecamp site. I want to make sure we spend some time really talking about how you can use the Basecamp site to get engaged, how the different functions can work. If you're, maybe not a tech savvy person, I'm going to walk you through some examples. And so this video is really going to focus on how we can utilize the functionalities within the Basecamp site. Again, I'm starting all videos this way. If you need any help, we are here to walk through this process with you. You can reach out to us there for assistance, and both Monica and I have emails listed on the screen. Or you can read through the Basecamp how-to guide. I will put a link here so that you have access to that as well. We're going to focus on kind of the four main types of interactions that are on Basecamp. So as we have previously mentioned, there are discussion board functions on Basecamp, and that is where you can have conversations in an organized board. This allows you to easily reference conversations later and keep all of the conversation organized in one location. We also have resource folders, and those are sections where you can share and find resources, documents, and other things too that grantees have shared or that ASER has shared. So there's two different types of resource folders, and we're going to talk about those too. We also have a chat function on Basecamp, and that is used to send quick messages in a continuous message chain, kind of like a text message or a Teams message, something like that. And then there's also a calendar, and the calendar is going to be where you can share upcoming events. It's a shared calendar, so you can see all of the events that are being hosted by other organizations or that might be interesting to your participants. So these are just the four main ways that you can stay connected and use the Basecamp site. We're going to go through each of these in a little bit more depth. So as I mentioned, there are two different discussion boards on the Basecamp site. One is called Questions About Evaluation, and one is called Grantee Social Media Posts. But those discussion boards function in the same way. You can start a new message to begin a conversation, and then you can also respond to conversations by clicking into a discussion board. The boost function allows you to share a quick reaction, and the comment function allows you to respond to the post with more detail. So we're going to kind of look through this example together so that you get a sense of how you can use these functions. Explore how you can actually utilize a discussion board. As we had previously mentioned, there are two different discussion boards on the Basecamp site. One is called Questions About Evaluation, and one is called Grantee Social Media Posts. They have different purposes, but the functionality of both of these discussion boards is the same. So I'm going to just click into Questions About Evaluation to show you how you can actually use a discussion board. Right now, you can see that there is one discussion board currently listed. And so as new discussion boards are added, we'll see them kind of line up here. But right now, there's an example in here, and I have a blue icon with a number 1 over here because there's been some change in activity since I last came on here. So if I want to explore this discussion post, I click the title, and it will open up the entire discussion post. Here now I can see all of the original discussion post, as well as some reactions and some responses. So that is how, a discussion post that already exists might look. If I want to engage with this discussion post, I can do two different things. The first thing I can do is just show a very quick reaction. So if I hit this icon here that looks like a rocket. I can boost this post. And this is where I just share a very fast response. Looks great. And I can add an icon, a little emoji. And then I post by hitting the green check mark. Maybe I want to really respond. I have a longer thought. I can go ahead and click the comment button and it will open up a dialog box. So now I can leave a response to the discussion. Maybe I want to, really emphasize something. I can bold, I can italicize. Maybe I want to cross something out. I can also use this dialog to link to a URL, a website, or I can use the paperclip icon to add a file from my computer. If I want to add my comment to the discussion, I go ahead and click add this comment and it will automatically update. So now I have joined the conversation again. Let's say instead of responding to a post, I want to create a new message. I would go over here to this this green icon that says new message and click. And then I want to make sure I click allow the client to see this too. So that means everyone will be able to see the post. I want to pick a category. So I want to make sure that people can find this information, or maybe just give them a heads up on what this is. So maybe it's an announcement, maybe it's a capacity building discussion. If you see that category, that means that we're having a conversation that is in reference to our larger ECB conversations. But for this one, I have a question. So I'm going to choose question, and then I'm going to ask my question. Question, what evaluation method do you use with youth? And then I'm going to write a message. So I'm looking for advice. Advice. My program serves youth and we have a hard time getting them to engage in our evaluation. What methods have you found to be helpful? Again, I'm just going to bold this and I'm going to italicize. A couple things. Just make it stand out. And then I am ready. I'm going to go down and make sure that I notify all people who can see this project. I'm going to post the message. So if you have any questions for your fellow grantees about evaluation, if you have questions about evaluation that you want the ECB team to respond to, this is a great place to post them. It's questions about evaluation. And again, the new post is right up here at the top. But you can also use this function not just for questions. Maybe you found a really cool resource that you want to share. You might use FYI and share a resource. And you can go ahead and link maybe it's a document or a website. You can link it here. You can upload a document by attaching files. So maybe you want to share a resource or have a discussion. You can FYI. Maybe you want to take a second to, share something really impactful. Maybe you want to take a second and say, hey, I'm going to give some praise. I'm going to say thank you. I'm going to share something about my community that has really been impactful, right? Maybe you want to show evaluation results show that our program is making a change. That's an awesome way to use this function. You could also go ahead and send an announcement. Maybe you have an upcoming event or a new resource that you created. You can share those things here, and people are able to respond to you. So that's how you can use these different options for your discussion boards.
Awesome. We also have resource folders. That is another type of interaction on Basecamp. These resource folders are where you can share information, resources, products that you've created that might be helpful for other grantees. I like to think of this kind of as a Dropbox or a SharePoint. It's a place where we can keep documents in folders and keep them contained. And here you can either create new documents for live collaborations, or you can upload documents to share. You can also search these different folders to find content that other grantees have shared with you or that Alcer has shared with you. So there are two different types of resource folders. One is resources from grantees, and that's where you would be posting. You are welcome to share anything program related that you've created, anything evaluation related that you've created, things that your other grantees will find helpful. And then there's also one called resources from Alcer, and that's where you'll find a lot of information and resources from the ECB team.
There are two different resource folders as well in the Basecamp site. So there is one called resources from grantees. This is where you can go in and share any documents that you've created, any information that you find helpful. Maybe you share some evaluation results. It's up to you what you want to share there, but this is the space, resources from grantees, where you can share with other grantees or where you can find other resources that other grantees are sharing with you. There's also resources from Alcer, and this folder is going to be where Alcer's team will post all of the presentations and the recordings, where we will share different evaluation resources. And so there's two different ways to use the resource folders. We're going to look first at resources from grantees. If you click in here, right now there's already one folder that has been created. So the KOM has shared their anti-stigma campaign. And if I click on that folder, I can see all of these different documents that they shared. So these are, there's some pictures of their anti-stigma campaign, a peer support group flyer that they used. Might give you some ideas for your anti-stigma campaign. And then they also shared their actual campaign, their social media campaign. So in this folder, there's the monthly posters, and then each week of their social media campaign. So this is week 1, week 2, week 4. And so they've chosen to share this information because they are hopeful that this is helpful to other organizations that might be working with this community or might be working on health stigma, and they wanted to share that information. So this is an example of how it can be used. Let's talk about how you actually add something to this folder. So in resources from grantees or in any resource folder, you go up to this green icon that says new, and you can create a new folder, make a new folder. This is where you can give it a title. So mine is an example. And maybe, I'll also put my organization so that people know who it's coming from. And then I can click into the folder. Right now it's empty. I go back to new, and I can upload files directly from my computer, or I can start a new document. This new document is a live document, so this is a space for us to collaborate, and maybe we want to create something together. This is the space. So it's a live document that everyone can use at the same time. Post this document, and this is essentially a discussion post that we can add a comment or use the boost reaction. It's a discussion that's inside of the resource folder. I'll go back to example. This is This is the resource from grantees folder. Here's the example folder I just made, and here's the discussion board that I just created. But I can also make a subfolder if I want to organize, stay organized. This is my subfolder. And then I can go ahead and click into here and add more things. So these spaces are really for you to use for whatever you think is going to be helpful. But we really want you to focus on sharing resources that you think other organizations will find interesting, that relate to evaluation, or that relate to your programming. If we go back to the evaluation capacity building main page, I'm also going to show you the resources from ASER. So this is another resource folder. And the way this is organized is you'll see different folders for each of the monthly topics that we go through as a evaluation capacity building team. And inside of here, you will see copies of the presentations. You'll find some resource lists that ASER has put together. You might find some links to websites that relate or articles that relate. And so I highly encourage you to check out the resources from ASER folder as well.
Please note that anything you share in the resource folders is going to be shared with all grantees and anyone that has access to the site. So please only share things that you are excited to have other people have access to. This is not a space to share proprietary or sensitive material. And we can't guarantee that other people won't download it and look at it and use it, right? So only share things that you are okay having all grantees have access to. Another way to engage on the Basecamp site is through chat. And this is where you send quick messages. It's a continuous chat chain. Think of it as a family group message, right? And it's pretty simple to use, so we'll walk through it today.
On our Basecamp site, we also have a chat function. So chat, ideas, and questions is down on the bottom right. And if I click into this, you will see essentially a continuous message chain. And the way that you use this is pretty simple. It's just like sending a text message or a Teams message, right? The bar down here at the bottom is your chat bubble. And so this is where you can type out your message. Over here, you'll see this paperclip icon. That is how you can attach a file from your computer. You can also use the smiley face icon to select an emoji. And if you want to have a more advanced chat option, you can click this A that's underlined, and it will open up a dialog box so that you can use bold or so that you can insert a website link. When you're ready to post in the chat, you just hit the post button. And this function is going to be used really if you just have a quick thought, a quick question, something not related to evaluation directly, maybe an idea about the Basecamp site or an idea about the ECB topics. This is a really great space for you to use the chat. You also might want to use the chat if if you just want to share a quick update about something. This space is kind of for you, but it's really important to note that, and I want to like star this as important, that this is a continuous chat. It is not easy to keep organized or search for previous conversations. And I'm going to highlight that. I'm actually going to change the background color because I want this to really stand out. Awesome. And then I'm going to post. Another way you can interact on the Basecamp site is by utilizing a shared calendar. If we go down to events hosted by grantees, I can click in here and see a shared calendar. Right now, there's nothing on the schedule. As you can see here, there's a blue dot. That means there was an event posted here, but there's nothing new on the schedule. So if I want to add a new event, I can either click add an event right here, or I can go up to the green add new event button. And this is going to ask us a few questions about the event. So I, of course, want to allow everyone to see, and I'm going to name the event. Hopefully you choose a name that really describes what this event is and why people might be interested in it. So maybe this is an event for Hispanic community members. And I'm sharing it because other organizations serve this community and I want them to know that this is an event happening that they can tell their participants about. I'm going to pick the date. So for example, this one's happening Wednesday, and I'm going to change the time. It's happening at 9 a.m. on Wednesday, 9 to 1 p.m. And when I post this notification, I want to notify all people, everyone. Please also, if you have a link to the website, the event website, or the hosting organization site, you can place the link here. You can also use the note section to give some details. So right now I'm going to say, this is the location, this is the hosting organization, and this is a description. So those are the things that are going to help people understand what this event is and why I'm sharing it. And then I click post this event, and now it shows up on the calendar right here that there is an event for Hispanic community members happening on Wednesday, the 26th. You can also add any of these items to your other calendars. So for example, I have an Outlook calendar at work, and maybe I want to have these events show up. I can go ahead and click this add the schedule button, and that will help me integrate this calendar into a previous calendar or a different calendar that I use for work so that they'll pop up.
So again, feel free to share events that you're hosting. Feel free to share events that are going on that serve community members. just make sure that you're helping us understand who that event is for and why you're sharing it, so that people understand, this event is for my participants. If this event is for everyone, right? Give us some context.
There's one last functionality that I really want to make sure everyone knows about, and that is a direct message function. So let's say you have a question and you just want to send it to one grantee, or you just want to include your grant managers, or you just want to send it to the ASER ECB team. You can do that. These will be private messages that you can go and access and keep a running log of. But to access that functionality, you go up here where it says pings. There's a little chat bubble icon. If you click on that, it will ask you who you want to message. And so right now, for this example, I want to message Monica. Once I select her name, I can ping, and it will open up a private message. This private message functions just like the discussion board. You can type your message directly into this bar. You can add an attachment, an emoji. You can open up the dialog box so that you can use bullet points or numbering. You can, add a link. All of the things we've talked about earlier. And then you can go ahead and post when you are ready to send that direct message.
Please note that the pings function is not where you should send time-sensitive messages. If you need a fast response, a quick response, please email your grant manager directly. Nothing that comes through pings on Basecamp will be answered in a certain turnaround time. And people may not even be checking their messages on Basecamp super regularly. So if you need a fast response, if you have something grant related, you need to be messaging, you need to be emailing your grant manager directly.